Welcome all to the Tales of Tyria. Welcome all to the Tales of Tyria.
Yo, this week on Tales of Tyria, we talking all about griefers gonna grief. And we got some feedback from last week, and then we got World v World update info, and man, guild missions are whack. You gonna stay tuned. Yeah, boss, make them stay tuned, yeah! Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of Tales of Tyria right here. I am your host, Bridger. Welcome yet again to the show. Glad you got a hold of it, however you may have found us. Tell a friend or two, won't you? We're live every other week on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I said, I am your host, Bridger, but joining me, I have a number of co-hosts, starting with Yannix Yak. Thank you, joining us all the way from across the pond. Oh, there we go. I should probably actually unmute everybody. We gotta retake the whole thing. Take 6. No. Let's just welcome. Hello.
We do have an extra hour, so
That's true.
keep
We have
going
an
if you
extra
want.
hour. No, we lost an hour. Stupid daylight savings time. All right. Also joining us, Professor Enzo. Welcome, sir.
I have no way to follow up the Beastie Boys voice.
I didn't know that's what I was going for, but apparently I don't even know what they sound like.
That's what it sounded like.
All right. Well, then I guess that's what I was going for. Guaranteed.
Rocking it old school.
And for his second appearance and first appearance on Tales of Tyria, Bullet, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Hey, yeah. I'm not an icon this time.
No,
so
more than an icon. That's what they
getting
say. So,
getting internet famous.
Indeed. So, just want to first point out, if you guys want to send us feedback, tell us what you want us to talk about, tell us what class you want to see next, etc., etc. Feedback at talesoftyria.com is how you can do that, and as well as the fact that, well, no, that's pretty much it. So I guess we can go on to the feedback section. All right. The segues are strong with me today. The first piece of feedback that we have this week comes from Fluffy Tummy, a Char Guardian in the Down Under Guild on the Sanctum of Rawl. Perhaps the longest set of signatures I've ever seen in a response, but that's okay. Really, all of them should be like that. I need all of that information. So, he says, quote, "Dear Bridger, I've been listening to your show for a while, and this is the last episode with the Guardians was wonderful, thank you. Although, I was surprised that none of your guests mentioned very interesting mechanics of one trait. It's in Radiance, the precision tree, Adept 6, called Blind Exposure. The official description is, applying blind also applies 3 stacks of vulnerability for 5 seconds. Well, that's not very impressive, right? Okay, now grab your greatsword and use Leap of Faith, the third ability, to jump into a pack of, let's say, 4 enemies. Each will get blinded, and each will get 3 stacks of vulnerability, theoretically. Wait, what? Each gets 12 stacks? Yes, the more enemies you blind, the more stacks each blinded foe will get. I'm not sure if this is how the trait is supposed to stack vulnerability, but so far it does just that. And it's fun! Blind 7 foes, and each will get 21 stacks of vulnerability. With traded cooldowns on two-handed weapons, you can spread vulnerability every 12 seconds just from your greatsword. Plus, activating your F1 virtue is blinding them too, and of course, gives vulnerability. And burns! Ouch. Plus, with 15 points in Radiance, as Yezzik suggested, your F1 recharges after each kill. Yours sincerely, Fluffy Tummy, Char Guardian, Down Under Guild, on the Sanctum of Rawl. Unquote. That is a very good tip, and something that we did not cover last week, so I thought I'd throw it in there. But unfortunately, this week we have 2 engineers and a warrior who are not going to appreciate me telling...
I wish I were a guardian. Warrior's like a poor man's guardian.
Really? I thought...
I'm gonna...
Wait a minute. The first time we had you on here, you're all like, yeah, go warrior! And now you're like, warrior
Well,
sucks. I
only
wanna be a
because I can be
guardian."
bothered to get an out. I got up to level 4 in Guardian, and I was like, oh no.
So you have the sunk cost fallacy. You're like, no, Warrior is great. I know it because I already spent tons of time on it, therefore the Warrior is great.
Pretty much. But I'm a secret Guardian wannabe.
S. Tessu says Warriors are just Guardians that failed magic school.
I can
Failed
shout and give
tanking
you
skill.
boons. I promise. My banners will give you boons.
Yeah, I don't know about that. All right. The next one we had on here was from Dragon72801. There must be a lot of dragons out there. All right. Bridger, my guild is small. I mean about 12 to 15 small, and out of that 15, only about 6 are active players. You must understand, small guilds don't gain influence very fast. I have been playing since Head Start, and I don't have all guild perks, so your comment that we should have all the perks is incorrect. We have not earned enough influence for us to have all the perks. The more members, the more influence earned. Dragon72801. This is in reference to last week when we had talked about the guild influence, and I had read a comment from somebody that said, yeah, we're in a small guild, but we've been playing since launch, and we have everything, and we have tons extra, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody else also pointed out, and that's something I meant to mention last week, but could not, is that not everybody knows that you earn guild influence 10 times faster when you're actually in a group with your guild doing whatever it is you're doing. It's literally 10 times faster. If you go to the Guild Wars 2 wiki and look up influence, because I didn't do it ahead of time because I'm a bad host, there we go. Then you just switch on over to this and you can see you get attendance, guild influence, thing, blah, blah. So events, you get 2 per person if they're all doing them individually, but 20 per person for a group of 2 or more guild members. Multiple groups of 2 doing the same event does not cause more than 20 influence to be gained. Oh, sorry, for each group, so 20 per group. But still, that's 10 times more. Same thing for PvP. It's $5 per person or 50 for a group of guild members doing it. So it's still a significant increase if you're doing it together. And not everybody necessarily knows that, which may be why not everybody's getting influence at the same rate. And other people might have different definitions of small when they talk about small guild, and different definitions of active when they say active. So all those could come together. So yes, Dragon, I didn't mean to imply that everybody, every guild everywhere should always have this. It's just for some smaller guilds they can still have it because they play more often together, etc. Okay, I just wanted to cover that. Now, let's jump to the first news item here. This one's kind of interesting, and it raises a couple of interesting questions. So what it describes is a person basically saying, we tried to do the tier 1 bounty with 8 guild members and had about 10 minutes to finish killing the second one after we already killed the first. We took the second one down to 70 to 80%, and some other guild members, some other guilds members started to flow into the event area and basically troll by standing around and dancing and scaling the event up without actually participating and taking it down, and needless to say, the people were not able to actually finish killing it. So what do you guys think about this? Griefer's gonna grief. Troll's gonna troll. Hate is gonna hate. But is this something that ArenaNet should have foreseen? Is this something they could have predicted? What do you think, Professor?
I don't know that you design a game around the assumption that people will be a-holes, but that's really what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason for it. There's no excuse for it. It's just being punks. And I'm sorry if anyone listening was in the guild dancing around the outside, but you were a punk. Just that's
telling
not
it like
the
it
point.
is, man. Man, going out there. Bold move. Now, that actually brings up a very interesting point now that I think about it. There was an article I read a while ago that was basically a designer saying, if players weren't such trolls, then we would have such an easier job. But they always turn around and try to go through the wall. Why don't they just go forward? They're supposed to go forward. Now I have to go back and make the wall behind them solid so that they don't go through it. But why would they try to walk through a wall in the first place? This is stupid. If players were just smart, then designers could make games in half the time. And it sounded like a really weird rant. I don't know. Yannick,
It's a funny rant, but that's different. I see that as a completely different thing because I always try things. Gee, I wonder what happens if I do this. And I can understand that, and I can understand how it's annoying for developers. But I think that messing with someone else's guild event, that doesn't really that's a different thing.
Now, some people in the chat are saying that events only scale if people are actually doing a certain amount of damage, but still people are going to do just that amount of damage and then they're just going to stop, and it's going to scale anyway. It's kind of a nightmare, the whole scaling thing. Yannix, is there even a solution to this problem? Can you even design this kind of scaling thing so that people can't grief it?
I don't think there is, because the whole point of these guild missions is for people to help. So there's no way that Guild Wars can exclude anyone. So I think the whole guild mission thing is a bit of a mess. It's really difficult. I'm not really sure what they could do to improve the trolling.
We're gonna go deeper into the guild missions soon. Now, ostensibly, what this was a protest by smaller guilds basically saying, well, if we're not allowed to unlock guild missions, we're going to prevent the big guilds from actually completing their guild, their missions too, or protest it by, locking it down and trying to prevent anybody from doing anything. Bullet, is this a legitimate form of protest? Is trolling the new picketing?
I mean, we're bringing in crazy, we're picketing. I mean, like, give them the signs. They're picketing. I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, I mean, people are going to grief. I mean, that's just life. I mean, video games, real world scenarios, people are going to mess with other people. But I mean, I've never run into this personally, but when I read this, I'm like, are people really doing this? But the only guild missions that I've done, I've actually been running with another guild, and I was, actually part of that group. If you're outside of that, do you still get any kind of reward for even completing that guild mission? Like,
you do, but I don't think it's very good. Not in comparison to being in the guild. You get like 50 silver and like 2 rares guaranteed, plus precursor potential, and then like if you're outside of it, like. Have a green. I don't know the exact thing, but I've heard it's not good.
No, I don't think you get any. Yeah, like 2 silver, a bit of karma.
Oh, that's
it kind of encourages people to troll. That's more fun than getting the karma.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty disappointing.
Trolling isn't fine. But there's no fun in that.
Well, no, there is. That's why they built Left 4 Dead 2 around trolls, because if you played the versus mode, whenever you played as the zombies, you were basically trolling people. They're like, I just want to play this game and get through the level to the end, and you're like, nope. So I thought that was like really well done. They need to make a guild mission that's like, one group of people is supposed to try to troll another group of people, and that's the actual mission. Good times.
Well, if it's supposed to be a protest, then they're protesting they should go protest the ArenaNet offices. They should go. They should look for people running with the ArenaNet tag and go troll there. I mean, they're going after some random guild and picked another small guild that had been working to try to get this, and so their protest ended up screwing over the people that they're trying to demonstrate in favor of. I just don't see it. The other thing, though, is just but this is just like a one. I don't know how often does this happen. Really,
I don't think it happens very often. I don't think it happens very often. This was one post on Reddit that kind of got big because of the possibility of it happening, and I think it's really the different reward levels. In all other portions of the game, when people are working together, they all get the same rewards. This is the first big thing that I can think of that's been introduced where 2 different groups of people get very different levels of rewards. And that means that the people who get less have a actual incentive to troll the system. That's why it hasn't happened in any other system before, for the most part.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, whenever you think about somebody trolling somebody, I guess, or just doing something negative, there's really 2 different ways, in my opinion, that you could counteract that, and that's one is by punishing them, or just doing something negative against them, or the other one is boosting up a reward, so like the joy that they get, I guess, from doing that, wouldn't be an issue. Then, you know what I mean? I don't know if you bump up the reward a little bit, maybe. I mean, if you're not part of the guild and it's called a guild event, I don't see how they can rationalize giving them the same reward. But I mean, maybe it's just not. There's an equilibrium there where it's just not quite high enough. Maybe if you want to give them more reward, if they're not a member of the guild, I don't know if maybe that would give your guild maybe more influence or something. I mean, something to that effect, to where it'll actually give you or yeah, like they
That's
said
not a
in the
bad
chat there,
idea.
just no guild commendations, or something maybe that'll benefit your guild, but not necessarily the lead guild that started it. Because I mean, you want to reward that guild that started it, by giving them something that is a little bit better, because they're the ones organizing the whole thing. But if you're there participating, absolutely, I think you should get something.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate. We'll actually get to this in a second here, but it's an unfortunate side effect of these MMO type cultures is that any time you put in a system, you have to understand that your players will try to get the best reward for the least work as often as possible. And so even as we're coming up with these different ideas about how it could be, I'm thinking in my head, okay, if it gave a bunch of influence, then guilds would simply work together to give each other influence so they could start new missions so that they could give influence to the other guild and then just completely exploit the system that way. I do not envy the people at ArenaNet or any other place that has to create these systems that have to be exploit proof. That is a very tough job. People in the chat are like, well, you can make it so that they have to tag it. Other people are like, yeah, well, then the griefers can just tag it and then sit back and dance. And then, well, you have to tag it every 5 seconds. Well, they'll just tag it every 5 seconds with their least damaging skill. Well, maybe you have to do a certain amount of dance. Well, they're going to do that and stop it. Well, then what if
People are going to whine whatever on the forums. It's a no-win situation.
I think, though, the best idea probably would be make it give a little bit more influence than a normal event to your guild. So if you're helping another guild finish their mission, it gives your guild, instead of 100 influence, whatever the normal number is, double it. Give them 200. So if you're helping somebody else, I don't think that's going to be overpowered, even if somebody tries to exploit it. That's not that bad. That should be good. Okay, so here's another interesting article that happened, and we'll get back to more guild mission discussion later. We got that on the docket. Don't worry about that. So this one was a rage post to some degree on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, where the person, Tumley Kins, basically is very angry. He's come across a situation where he's been trying to do dungeons, and he gets in with a group of 5 people ready to do a dungeon, and it turns out that none of them have done the story mode, and they're just waiting like, do you have explorable? You need to start it if you have explorable. I don't have it. Do you have it? No, I don't have it. Nobody has explorable mode unlocked. So they all just disband and look for somebody else that has explorable mode unlocked. And he's like, if you can't start it, just do the story mode. You have 5 people. You could just instantly, now everybody's got it. And then it'll never be a problem again. And instead, he just goes on this whole rant. And that's a very interesting concept, because it hadn't occurred to me before that people wouldn't do the story mode. I did the story modes when I go in the jungle, because I like doing this, because it's a story mode. And you got to do the story so you know what's going on. But nobody does it for the story. Who the hell am I kidding? I don't know. Yanix, is this a case of the community being lazy, as the author suggests, or is it just trying to be as efficient as possible, but then the author says that efficiency, this is poor for efficiency, because now you have to find a new group. Which is it? Is it both? Is it all? Is it none?
Just laziness. Even I have done some dungeons, and I hate dungeons. It's really difficult nowadays to get 5 people to do a story mode. But if there's already 5 people there who need the story mode, it's just silly. Why? They'll never meet them again, and then they're gonna wait half an hour.
I thought.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I thought this was something. It reminded me of something we were talking about a few weeks ago. Where there were 2 different mindsets to people playing the game. There are people who are actively playing the game and interested in the story and enjoy the journey of playing the game, and there are people who are focused on the destination and the achievements and trying to get there as efficiently as possible. And I think this is just another example of those 2 different play styles. The people who are focused just on, I want to run path 1 and 3 because I can do those fastest and get the most out of it. I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. So the whole the whole running the story mode isn't efficient, so that doesn't occur to them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're definitely right. It's the people who are enjoying the journey versus the people that are enjoying the destination for all intents and purposes. I need my legendary. I don't care about the story. I need my legendary. It certainly shows the dichotomy of the 2. I mean, it's amazing ArenaNet had created a game that makes both people happy, but I think they've kind of made a good compromise here.
Well, somebody in the chat just said that they think it's silly that the story mode should be done in order to go into the explorable mode, and that people don't necessarily want to run the story mode because of the the lack of rewards. But I think what may actually help it out a lot is if maybe it was not necessarily character bound to where you can go into the explorable dungeons, but more so account bound. Because I mean, the whole thing is, in my opinion, they want you to do that story mode to get kind of a little bit more about the lore, things of that nature, learn what that dungeon's all about, but not necessarily farm that, because it, like somebody was saying, it's not that path of least resistance, to have to keep doing that over and over and over again, and people are going to look for that easiest route. So I think it is just sheer, I guess, quote-unquote laziness, I guess, if people don't want to do the story mode and they just want to find somebody to just jump right into that explorable where they can get...
Dagnus just solved the whole thing for us. First time you do the story mode for each character, you get tokens. Problem solved.
That's a good point. That's great.
Bam.
Yep.
Wow, that was simple. I can't actually think of a way to exploit that either. So the other thing that I think it's sort of a dichotomy in the way that they had to build the game is the idea that they described when the game was being built is that story mode was a dungeon mode for everybody. It was not supposed to be particularly difficult, but it was supposed to be, you're supposed to enjoy the story mode because of the lore and enjoy the narrative and what's going on. Right? And then the explorable modes were the challenging ones for the people that really wanted to, be challenged by the system and et cetera, et cetera. And it seems like because the story mode wasn't challenging, they couldn't give you good rewards, and so now you have the only thing anybody wants to run is explorable. It's kind of a dichotomy, though, because do you guys find any of the explorable modes to be really challenging? Maybe AC after the rework, is it actually better?
I haven't done it after the rework, but COE was difficult there for a while before they kind of learned how to deal with Alpha and learned his techniques, I guess, on how his attacks work. But as far as the story modes being easier, I guess, than the explorables. I mean, I remember all of the people that were complaining about how hard all the dungeons were at the start of the game, and now it's almost people are like, well, they're all easy. We want harder stuff, So I don't know how you can please people when everything becomes easy at some point. I mean, people are going to get better at the game. They're going to get better gear. It's just inevitably everything's going to be easy, I guess, to somebody at some point. I don't know.
That's true. All right. Yannick's has been like, whap, 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 PvE. Let's go on to World v World. We finally have some update info.
I did have a soft spot for AC, but I've done all my gear farming, so I haven't been back. But I heard it's good, though, the new remake. Has any one of us done it?
Oh yeah, I did Ascalonian. That's the only dungeon where I've done every single path of every and story mode and everything. The other ones I've done different paths because the people I was running with is like, this path's the best, let's go this way. I was like, okay, whatever. All right, so we have this article that was on, what the heck was it on? It was on MMORPG.com. Habib Lowe is one of the main... Hang on. World v World coordinator and principal programmer talking about the upcoming changes to World v World. So there are a bunch of different things in this interview, some very interesting tidbits and information. Let's start with the culling is going away forever. Huzzah! Victory!
Not skeptical at all.
Next year, maybe.
I don't know. Well, I don't think they'd... ArenaNet is very careful about what they say. If you go back and look at any of the interviews, marketing material, anything that they say, they are either very vague or they are specific and they are right. You know what I mean? So if they're saying that culling is going to be gone in this official interview in very clearly controlled way, I think it's actually going to be gone in March. I think they've got it.
Fingers
crossed. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's all go at once. No.
Yeah.
I think the gone. I think it will be gone. But what's interesting, and there was a quote from Habib that I think explains what they really mean when they say it's going to be gone. And he said, there will be several different options for how other players are presented to you on the client side that you can choose from, so you can control how it works for you. So what that sounds like is there are going to be some checkboxes, there are going to be some sliders, there's going to be something where you can go through and tweak your client so that you don't see culling. And I think that's how they can get rid of it. And I think that works a lot better than them trying to find a one size fits all, or will make your client make the decisions for you. They'll just set it up or set up the options for you, so you can go through and play. Okay, I'm getting culling. Let me go dial these things back. Okay, now it's better. Let me dial a little. Okay, and you'll find your own sweet spot. So I think there'll be some work for us, but it'll be worth it.
I think it's more going to be like, okay, you can have it all the way up, which is the game tries to load more stuff at a time, or you can like have it all the way down, in which point it like most of the time, if players are X far out, you're just gonna see placeholders. You're not gonna see actual characters or whatever. You're gonna see sort of default looking, like if it's a charge, every charge is gonna look the same, etc., to save on local resources or network resources. I don't know exactly what their bottleneck is specifically, but maybe I think that's probably, you're gonna be choosing between things like that. Beefier computers, bigger networks, maybe you're gonna be able to take advantage of those things, and others are not, for the most part. But you know, it does sound like it's gonna be useful. For the most part. Now, how is this going to change the tactical side of things, Bullet? What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you can see people and you know they're there, it's going to absolutely change how people approach a situation. I mean, if my friends and I, let's say there's 15 of us and we're rolling up on a supply camp and we see no one there, we're just going to completely just steamroll through it. But before, it looked like there's nobody there, and then, oh my gosh, there's 60 people on that supply camp. Where did they just ninja in from? But now, I mean, we would see that 60 people there, and we'd be able to, well, let's come back later, and we'll see if those people have moved on. But, I mean, it's definitely, the more information that you have, be it the people that you see or anything like that, it's going to change your tactics absolutely. Just because you're going to know that the people are there, and the fight or flight type of thing is going to kick in a little bit more.
I can actually imagine like a commander saying, "Okay, everybody, stay off the battlements except for like 5 of us." And as soon as they burst through the door, then we'll get them. It's a trap, because before it was like, well, they can't see us anyway. Everybody up on the battlements. There was no reason to try to hide or control, because anytime you had a large group, they couldn't see you. It didn't matter. So that's definitely going to change some things. That combined with the orange swords being at the over 25, it might really change the way that World versus World works. Can't wait for this. Grr, we don't know when it's coming, though, do we? They haven't dropped a release date, have they? I didn't see it anywhere.
Yet. So. No info yet on the March update page.
No,
I logged into that page all excited, and then it's like, oh no.
I thought it said the 28th. I could be wrong.
Well, the 28th of February was when the last one.
I thought they put March. Let me pull this up. But anyway, go on. I just hope
March
it doesn't
26th,
affect lag
actually. It does. It says March 26th on the page here, and this is the page. Somebody linked it in our chat room for Team Legacy, and I saw it, and I was like, oh man! And I clicked on it, and I was really excited. Like, we're gonna finally find out all the details. Oh, what overview? It's like, oh man, this is a jam-packed patch for March.
It's 2 paragraphs on the living story.
Oh man, disappointing. But we'll certainly see more of that. It's gonna look terrible if I put the podcast out tomorrow, and tomorrow's when they put the blog post up with all the details about everything. Oh, they're complaining about all the things. Okay, so what else we got going on? Progressions being added to World versus World. So this is interesting. Specifically, they say that you're going to earn World XP, which is a separate new form of currency. It's different from tokens. It's different from karma. It's different from gold. It's different from XP. It's different from commendations. It's different from influence. It's World XP, a brand new thing to earn. Oh, it's different from badges.
You forgot laurels.
Laurels! It's different from laurels. Wow. Okay, and coins. there's a lot of types of currency in this game. So this is a new one, although it's in the form of a tracking bar rather than an item, which is good. And when you rank up, Super Master Sergeant, Shooter Sergeant, you get better passive abilities, such as carrying more supply, doing more damage with siege weapons, taking less damage with siege weapons, etc. That's the kinds of abilities they mentioned in the interview. Yannix, are you worried about this causing some kind of power creep, this progression system, if it just keeps getting more and more stuff added to it? Are, like, the veterans of World vs. World gonna stomp every new level 80 with exotics just because they have all these abilities?
I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference with the passive abilities. It is going to be really useful. And I think players who spend a lot of time in World v World should be rewarded for that, something worth fighting for. And I think Guild Wars is already quite generous with upscaling everyone to level 80 to begin with anyway, and it's just something to work towards. And the guilds that are focused in World v World time will hopefully have a little bit of advantage, but it's not huge. So I think something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Professor Enzo, is this something that guilds are really going to organize and try to coordinate? Like, okay, you guys all get the more supply. These guys are going to get the take less damage from siege engines. They're like our vanguard. They're running through fire and brimstone. They don't care. These guys are the constructors. They stay in the back. Is that kind of organization going to happen, or is they just going to say, everybody take the bonus supply, it's the best one, and then you're done with it? I don't know.
Well, I think everyone's going to take the bonus supply first because that's the obvious one. But yeah, I think the more World v World focused guilds are going to do. I mean, they're already organized. They're already organizing their sieges, and they leave scouts around, and they plan that kind of thing. This is just going to be another level of that organization where they'll be able to focus some of their players more. Now, I think they'll still have some general ones because you don't want to be, and you'll still be going to take towers even if your super tower taker team isn't logged in. But yeah, I just see this as really something that the big organized guilds will enjoy more because it's something more for them to do.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What do you guys think about the 25 sword change? Has it made a difference? I know Freelancer would be so happy right now if he had time to play. What do you think?
I think it absolutely helped. I know that just rolling around, I've never been one to like really join the big Zergs. I know my guild, there's only like 15 of us, I think, that actually World v World a lot, and it was really a disadvantage when we would just start doing something, a small group of us, and then those swords pop up, and then a big Zerg runs in. Well, now we can actually go out there, kind of be sneaky, I guess, and the whole map isn't alerted to our presence, and we can actually do something, get out, move to somewhere different, do something else, and it's been just positive. I can't see any negative impact of why that would be bad.
It also makes the map be more organized because you don't have those sounding an alarm everywhere. Now you'll still have the white swords, begins with a C. I'm losing the word.
Contested swords?
That's it. Thank you. You still have the contested pop up, but now you have things like, oh, I see the north camp is contested. Anybody have eyes up there? And people will actually have to go up and check. No, it was just the script coming in. It was NPCs. Don't worry about it. Or I don't see any script. Wait, I see 6 guys running in, or whatever. So it's forcing the server to play together more. You have to actually scout and pay attention to what's happening.
Now, one thing that I kind of... When the World v World is described ahead of time and I was envisioning this in my head, we had kind of come up with this idea of like, okay, we're going to have these groups running around trying to disrupt supply lines and all that, but from my experience, supply lines mattered a lot less than I had hoped. For the most part, if our Zerg needed supply, we just like, okay, let's go take that supply camp and just take all the supply from it. It's like, we don't need supply lines unless when you're upgrading something, but upgrading something is kind of a moot point if you're logging off in 4 hours and you spent all this gold upgrading something only to have it get taken overnight by the ghost cappers, and it's just it feels very frustrating, I guess you could say. Is there something they should do to the supply system to fix this, or is it not broken and I'm just crazy?
I don't know. We still pay a lot of attention to supply lines, especially when we've just taken a tower and we're trying to upgrade it, or when we know that there's activity from other servers on our map. I mean, there's a yak leaving the west camp. Can someone watch it? And because we need that 100 supply to get through so we can get the walls upgraded, because we know we need that.
Yeah, and I think ArenaNet, with the buffing of the camp champion guy, I think their ideas to try and make supply camps a bit more important and not be flipped every minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with that as well.
I do kind of wish there was some mechanic that would allow you to starve people out of a keep. You know, that way, like, okay, we have like the same numbers as them inside, and we've tried to bust down the door, come in the main way, but we can't. They're just too many. They're dropping AoEs everywhere. Our rams get destroyed. So instead, you try, using long-range shots to take the wall down. But even if you do that, it's like, it's a stalemate. I would love for there to be a time-based thing. Like, okay, if you can stop the supply from getting in, then they can't repair. I mean, that actually kind of does exist, doesn't it? They can't repair the walls anymore.
We've done that when we were taking Bay one time. They had full supply when we started our siege, and we just kept hitting and kept hitting and kept hitting, and we kept watching their supply going down further and further, and we drained them out of like 1,700 supply in that siege until we got through the door because they couldn't fix it anymore. So that's in there. I agree. It would be interesting to see if that could be enhanced somehow. But I do think it's present in the game.
Yeah.
It just may be more subtle than you're looking for.
And it's a very time-staking process to I guess, in order for you to starve out a whole keep or something like that, or tower or whatever you're trying to take from supply. That could be a very lengthy process. I mean, you could be pelting at that wall for a really long time, but as long as you keep that supply from getting in, nobody's going to be able to build that thing back up. So, but it could take a while.
All right, so other things coming in this patch include titles for veteran World v World players. So when you rank up, you get to change, instead when you see everybody saying, Blackgate Invader or whatever, instead of saying that, it will say Blackgate General of the Army Super XX Best Guy Ever, whatever the title is, and, Invader or Ravenous Invader or Bloodthirsty, General, whatever. So, are you guys, is that going to change how you play? If you see somebody, playing, like, an invader, when you're just running across trying to join a group, you have to 1v1 this guy, are you going to play differently than if this guy is, like, Master General Super Highest Rank Ever? Is that going to change how you play?
I try not to 1v1 people as an engineer most of the time anyway. So,
except underwater.
Yeah, if I see you underwater, you're mine. But if you're running across a field, I don't really care what title you have. Unless I have two friends coming behind me, I'm not going after you.
The answer is no, it doesn't change my strategy, because my strategy is run away from every fight.
I think it's cool, absolutely. I mean, it's something neat, but I honestly don't even look at what they say anyway. Maybe that's just because it's all invaders and it's all the same thing, but as soon as I see, well, that's a person, it's red, I'm going after him.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of irrelevant as to what it says. I mean, because we don't even really know how they get those titles yet, whether it's from so many kills, if it's from, taking so many keeps, like, does that necessarily, it's kind of like Call of Duty, to where, like, if you see this person's, the top prestige, does that necessarily make them a good player? Does that mean that they've been playing for a long time? Does that really affect how I, go at them? No, it doesn't really matter, because I'm still going to assume that, they're a good player and, do whatever I need to do to take them down. So, but I think it's cool, though, because it's more diverse, and more diversity is always good, in my opinion.
My question is, are these titles going to show up for your allies as well? Because, I mean, are people on your team going to see, I'm General Uber McEngineer, and kind of a play off of the commander tag then.
Yeah, actually, that was another thread that I saw this week where somebody's like, you know, I would care a lot more about these titles that I earn through achievements if I could actually show them off. Like, you don't really see them in the world unless somebody clicks on you, and then I think it's underneath your name at the very top or something like that. I think they basically mentioned how in Guild Wars 1 it would show up as part of your name hovering over your head, which made it a lot more like, haha, I took all that time to get that achievement, and now I am survivalist so-and-so, or whatever. So that seems like a decent point, but are you going to want to run around? I mean, that was a problem in PlanetSide, because they made that happen in PlanetSide, but some of the titles were ridiculously long. So if you had somebody that had a long name anyway, it was like, you know, Master Sergeant of the Army so-and-so, and it was huge. But maybe that was just the beta. I don't know if they ever fixed that. But I don't know. They all have their issues.
Since you mentioned that, I have a wish, if I had a wish that I could give to ANET, kind of because you said Master Sergeant or whatever, I want a Lieutenant tag to go with a Commander tag. I'd like a Sergeant tag that had an option, because a lot of times we'll be running.
So you're saying some kind of organized system of mechanics, like a user interface used when you want to raid an enemy's keep, kind of like as if you were going to raid something, you'd have a user interface for that when you have a lot of people together, if you were going to organize them into some kind of a UI for a raid UI.
Yeah, something like that. But I was just thinking even simpler than that. I'm running with a commander, and I know that she's in charge and she runs on the map all the time, but I'm assisting, so I'm just going to be a lieutenant. Let me just be a lieutenant. So I'm like, she'll say, okay, you go take care of this, so I can go take a few people with me and go run some supply while the commander's over here. Just like a hierarchy.
Absolutely, it would be fantastic. That's something that I know that we've been looking forward to for a long time. I mean, in Team Legacy, when we run, we have separate groups, but they wind up being people in different TeamSpeak channels that just have to say, okay, follow me, because there's no way to visualize that in the game. If the commander could actually just drag and drop people, like, okay, you here, you here, you here, you here, okay, everybody in Group 1, I'm promoting so-and-so to Lieutenant of Group 1, and now he's going to go, I need them to go secure that supply camp, Group 2 is going to go this way, Group 3 is going to go this way, and now you can actually see, like in the corner it says, you're part of Group 1, and here's your group, whatever. Group's probably a bad word because that's the 5-person party, but you know what I mean. You could make a subset. I don't know. What do they call them now? Squad? Sub-squad?
I'd say build it off of the whole squad concept. I mean, right now I don't think it's used very much, but if you started implementing more things into that, it would make people want to use it more. So, you know, as we said earlier, you know, with the taking away of the swords for under 25, you know, people, you have to communicate more. Well, if you join the squads, you know, you'd be able to communicate more, and you'd see more people and all kinds of stuff. So I think that they need to build on that squad concept other than just it being a separate thing. And I think that, you know, adding lieutenants or different ranks, more customization, UI, things like that would definitely help out.
Definitely something worth paying 100 gold for. Although I think I read somewhere Guild ArenaNet said they didn't want to complicate the UI too much, but I think just some more basic features would be definitely more useful, especially when the 25 sword thing is encouraging smaller group play. And 5-member parties are just too small.
The UI can be really simple. The goal is to simply, I mean, if I was to design it and I was trying to do like a very simple minimalist design, if I was the commander, on the left side where you normally see parties, it would show up to 5 subgroups, and instead of showing like all the different health of everything, it would show an average health and but of specifically the people around your lieutenant. But maybe that's too many resources, because that would be super useful. Like, okay, the people around your lieutenant on your own team, average health. If it's like way down here, it's like, well, a lot of them are dead, or very low or something like that. And then that just seems like that would be super useful for a commander to see. Group 1 just ran into a huge problem because I just saw their health drop in half. I need to send reinforcements that way. And then for everybody else, you would simply see, something like, who your lieutenant is for your subgroup and, a UI thing of where he is on the map for you, like a heads-up kind of display. Like you can see him through mountains and whatever. I mean, that's how PlanetSide 2 does it, and it's really easy to find your squad leader and follow him around because you can see him through walls and everything. It's a nice heads-up display. But I don't know, maybe that's... I don't think maybe the Char engineers or the Asura have even perfected heads-up displays, except that they have, haven't they? Yeah, they have. Okay, we can
Inside
totally
a
do
golem,
that.
you do.
It's totally lore friendly.
Well, and there's one other thing about this Habib Lowe interview that came out in the Reddit discussion afterwards, because of course you have the smart Alex in Reddit going, gee, only asked about progression and culling. He doesn't even play World v World, doesn't even know what to ask.
Yeah.
And there was a comment that came back that was like, I was part of that interview, and we were under instructions that these are the 2 topics we're allowed to ask about because they're the 2 that are in the patch so far. There's more. We don't have details on it. They're still trying to work out the bugs and work out what will be ready, what won't be ready. So I'm expecting that this won't be the only thing that shows up for World v World in March. I'm expecting there could be some other surprises that they have in store.
Right, that's why I was very excited to see what was on the official page, because if they were ready to put the official page up and have all the details there about the patch, about the big living story with everything that comes with it, then there might be some real information about the stuff that was coming up. But you're absolutely right. As I mentioned before, ArenaNet, if nothing else, are masters at controlling what information is getting released. They only talk about things that they know are going to be coming out soon. So to me, that's just another example of that. And if you didn't understand that going into that, just know that every interview, if you don't see a question being asked that should have been asked, the interviewers are probably not necessarily bad interviewers. It's probably exactly what Professor said. Yanix.
I am very happy with the stealth World v World loot increase. Have you guys noticed?
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I have no complaints now. I had been hoping that they would introduce a new map for March, but I think that's probably a little bit ambitious. I'd just be happy with the culling and maybe the lag thing. Have you noticed the lag skill delay has really increased as well? So I'm not sure what's happening there, but as long as they try and fix those 2 things, I'd be happy. Loot and no culling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very simple like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that I'd love to see, but I'd really want to see how the lack of culling changes things. Because for me, that's been the most frustrating thing about World versus World, is not being able to plan anything because you have no idea where anybody is, because your scouts can't see them. It's very frustrating. So anyway, they said there is more coming besides, even for the stuff that's not in this patch, even for the stuff that they haven't talked about that is going to be in here. This is not the last World v World patch. They're very careful to say there's more stuff coming, etc., etc. So we still don't know anything about the April patch. I mean, back at the beginning of the year, remember, they laid out, January, February, March, here's what we're going to do. February is supposed to be the big World v World one. It slipped to March. And so we actually don't know anything about April, May, June. Maybe we're going to see another blog post?
I think the World v World patch is going to be the April patch.
That's possible. All right. Bullet, one more comment?
Yeah, just going back to it was a couple of subjects ago when we were talking about those passive abilities that you would get with the progression in World v World. I think one of the things that you had mentioned in the show notes is, is this going to, make older players stronger or something like that, or, what kind of effect is it going to have? World v World is one unique circumstance in gaming that is not balanced at all.
True.
So I don't think, something... will it be significant? Yeah, it may, give somebody like, hey, I've got this buff, or I can carry this much more supply. But as a whole, I don't think it's going to affect a whole lot just because of the sheer number of people. And, it wasn't balanced in the first place, so I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference on the grand scale. But individually, giving people something to work towards to get that next upgrade or something like that, I think that would help out. But as far as like balancing wise, I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference because it's not balanced in the first place.
That's true, and it's always difficult. I mean, because numbers matter more than anything else. If the other guys have twice as many numbers as you, that almost makes it a foregone conclusion. There have been certainly situations where Team Legacy and other guilds that we've been running with, and other guilds have sometimes done it to us when we're disorganized and we're sloppy and let stuff happen too. If one side is significantly more organized than the other, numbers can be neutralized to some degree. But if you're a party of 5 or 6, I don't care how organized you are, you're not going to beat the Zerg of 40, 50, 60 guys. So that's the, in essence, why, okay, if we can't balance it because numbers are going to be that imbalanced on a per location basis, then we don't have to balance it really well. But at the same time, I would not want to be the new guy coming in thinking, oh, Guild Wars 2 has a power plateau, and I got my exotics, so now I'm just as strong as everyone else. And then the people in World v. World going, did you get the supply upgrade? You got to get your supply upgrade before you run with us. We only let people with the supply upgrade come with us.
Well, and this is part of the thing with the things that they're talking about. They're talking about carrying more supply, doing more damage with siege, or taking less damage from siege. So the abilities that they're talking about aren't really player versus player.
True.
They're more like player versus environment.
Player versus
so I can
door.
take down a wall faster, but that doesn't mean if we run into each other in the middle of a field, I'm not going to have these passive abilities aren't really going to give me an advantage against you in a one-on-one fight. Or if
Because you
my
just run
group
away.
Well, I know, but someone like you who doesn't run away, or someone like Yax who doesn't run away, even if you've got like a 3 times buff for taking down walls or for building siege, if your group runs into another group in the middle of a field, it's still going to be a relatively even fight that's not going to be on these abilities.
All right, so that's World v. World stuff. In 2 weeks, we'll certainly be talking more about it because 2 weeks from today is the 31st. Is the 24th. Going to be getting back from PAX on that day. I don't know if ArenaNet's going to be there or not. Actually, I didn't look it up. If they are, I'm certainly going to try to get some inside information for you guys. So it may or may not be on the 24th. We might delay it to the 25th in order to recover from PAX. But are you guys going to? No, you guys aren't. No, none of you guys are in the Northeast, are you? No.
Nope.
No, I guess not. So I always get, you guys, we can meet up at PAX. Oh, nobody's going. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. Again, 24th or 25th, one of those days, we'll certainly be talking more about this because by that time they should have released all the detailed information about the patch. Maybe it's going to be, actually the 26th is when it's supposed to be out, so we'll definitely have the information by then, and we'll be able to speculate about all the things. So that'll be good. But let's move on to the final topic for tonight. We're going to go more deeply into this whole guild mission debacle, as it has become known. Or kerfuffle? Is it more of a debacle or a kerfuffle?
Kerfuffle sounds funnier, so let's go with that.
Okay, it's a kerfuffle. A kerfuffle controversy. So, guild missions, as they are implemented, are certainly causing a bit of a stir. The first one that we were able to play is actually the bounty missions. Have you guys played anything except the bounty? Nobody's unlocked anything higher than that, I don't think. Have you? We haven't. Or if we did, it was just recently, because as of last Thursday, we did our big guild mission thing, and we did not. We had enough to unlock it, but we didn't have enough influence to unlock it, so now we might have enough this week. We'll find out. But the bounty one is what we did. And for those of you who have not been able to conduct these bounty missions, I will explain the procedure. The procedure is you go to Dolphy.net, and you look at all of the maps, and you divide your group up in your entire guild up into 15 slices, and you send each of them to a different zone, and they each open up these maps in their other window, and they walk backwards along the path until they run into the mob, because as I was so weirded out to find, your targets for these bounty missions are walking around the zones whether they've been triggered or not by your guild. And that kind of blew me out of the water. Why put a time limit on the mission if you're going to give people as long as they need to find them ahead of time? That was crazy for me. But anyway, so that's what you do. Once everybody's checked in, like, Red Leader reporting in, we found him in Gendarin Field, sir. Then, all right, I need you to tag along and follow behind him actually, no, the Gandarian Fields one is in a barrel somewhere, if I recall correctly. So it's more like, anyway. The idea is, once everybody finds them, then you activate the guild, find out which one it is that you're actually, which targets you're actually going after. Then everybody says, okay, join these different channels on TeamSpeak. You jump in the channel, the guy who's been following him says, go to this waypoint and go north, and you'll be right here, and I'm right there. They go, they beat him up. It's done in 10 seconds. And you get 50 silver and a bunch of commendations, and your guild is happy. So, how many of you guys have had experiences with this?
I have.
Yannick's too busy defending the world.
No, actually, we have been doing our 2 weeks of tier 1, 2, 3. It's been a bit of a grind, to be honest. It's a bit boring. I'm hoping the other types of guild missions will be a bit more interesting. I'm a little bit disappointed.
They do look like they're more interesting, don't they? And you have to unlock them in a specific order. That's what we found out the hard way. It's like, oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, it's a bit of a grind at the moment.
So, is everybody in agreement these bounty missions are kind of boring compared to, I don't know, anything else in PvE?
I don't know. I'm going to play the devil's advocate here if you guys think they're boring. In Guild Wars 1, they added, it's been years ago, but they added in like this weekly thing and then a daily thing where you could go out and do bounties, where you actually go out and you find the world boss, whatever the particular boss is for that day, and you go out and kill it, and then you get, Zaishin quests, exactly. And you get a particular reward for that day and so on and so forth, and there's different tiers of that. When that first came out, we all ran together as a guild, went out there, and just had a lot of fun killing these particular mobs, as a group, because this day's, we'll go out and do it. I had the same, when we did it this week, my guild is a very small guild, as I've said before, there's only like 15 of us, but we've had to network a bit, find a large guild on our server, and said, hey, can we, give you guys some help with these missions and stuff while we're still getting more influence and things of that nature, and they let us join in for the guild missions and stuff, and we went out there. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the meeting new people, going out there, having this big collaborative event to where we're all working together to kill these mobs, find them, and all that stuff. I thought it was a lot of fun. So
I don't know, maybe I kind of fell into that whole hyped it up in my mind thing, but when I envisioned guild bounties, the bounty missions, I envisioned this thing of, okay, you activate it, and then you're given a 15-minute time limit. How well do you know? It's almost like a scavenger hunt, right? You have to solve these things, and I figured eventually it would be solvable, but I thought, you've got 15 minutes, consulting this thing isn't necessarily, and I was hoping that they would just have it like random spawn paths, such to the point where you couldn't just know where they were going to be, and the fact that they're there ahead of time for you to find, and in fact, on a lot of these, you have to find them ahead of time because it's almost impossible to find them within a 15-minute time limit. It's completely backwards from what I was hoping. I was hoping for more of a scavenger hunty, like lore based, like he was spotted near, something, and you see this word, you're like, damn, where have I seen that before? Like, like the Halloween, scavenger hunt. Words for areas that are not super marked on the map, but maybe little points of interest that you hadn't remembered. I don't know. I mean, you can still look those up and stuff, but at least then it feels like a hunt or a chase. This one's just like, okay, I'm going to follow this path for a while. And there's no time pressure. It doesn't feel fun because there's no challenge. It's guaranteed is the problem.
I think it is quite fun challenging for the real masochists who want to do it properly without checking Dolphy first.
I guess so.
But then you fail, so...
And it sounds like the one you're looking for is the sightseeing quest. It's one of the, I forget what it's called, but it's coming out where they give you a hint or they give you a screenshot and you have to say, okay, here's a view, and you have to remember, where did I see that? Okay, smoking.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds cool.
And I don't know what the time limit is, and obviously that's a new one that we haven't seen yet. But that's one of the ones is here. Go find this spot. Now I'm sure that after that's been run X number of times, you'll be able to go onto Dolphy and look up.
Oh, it's already
look them
half
up there
on
too.
Dolphy. I had a look.
But the other difference we were talking about. That you had a really easy experience where you all got everyone out scattered around, you tagged all your targets, everyone knew that, you'd say go, and then you went. And when we did ours, we had everyone go around and we all tagged our target. And then, oh, wait, here's this other guild's running their mission. They came charging in and they just killed it. So now it's respawned. We have to go find that one again. Okay, well, hang on. Well, what about this other one? Oh, a dynamic event just spawned on top of them, and the person who was following the target just got ganked and wiped out. Okay, so that one, and we had just a mess and got down to our last target and just missed him by about 10-15% of his health. We had him almost dead when we ran out of time. So it was still challenging for us.
See, that's
what
what I'm
maybe you
missing.
got lucky or we got unlucky.
I kind of expected if they're going to put a time limit on it, it should feel hectic and pressured. And my experience was not that. But,
well, brother, should have come with us. Ours was hectic and disorganized and screaming on chat and wait, what are you? No, quiet, everyone quiet. Where is it? Oh my God! And yeah, it was a rush, and we almost got it. And like I said, we were probably 90 seconds away from finishing it.
I don't know. It just seems like it's too easy to put on farm status, I guess you could say. And maybe that's what the point of it is. Maybe these are supposed to be farmed. I mean, that's what people are going to want, right? What's the maximum you can do as an individual? Is it one of these things per day or per... Because you get
week,
50 silver. Is
It's-
one per week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it per week to get the reward, I believe, but I think per guild you can do it once every day, I think, for more guild...
More guild merits.
merits. Yeah, merits, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe.
So yeah, that's probably correct. So I don't know. I'm very excited to see what the other guild missions are going to be. I feel like Bounty was a letdown for me. Maybe it's because I had the wrong expectations about it. But the big discussion that's been going on everywhere, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, and we alluded to it last time on episode 63, was the fact that it's not, this whole system is not scaled well for smaller guilds. It requires influence much higher than what smaller guilds can easily get to even unlock them in the first place, and then to actually order one costs even more influence, etc. And then to do the actual bounty, what I just described to you, we did with 50 or 60 people. And it was easy in that extent, but I couldn't imagine trying to do a tier 3 version with a smaller guild that's only got even 10 people, because you can't track all 15 guys with 10 people. So you kind of have to have at least 15 to make it quote-unquote easy mode. But even then, now you've got 3 people that have to fight it. We actually figured out that for many of them who are doing the path thing, if you talk to them, if you hit F and talk to them, they stop. So I was literally, I found mine early, so I was just sitting there, F, click the X, F, click the X for 16 minutes while everybody else found theirs, and then they're like, okay, we're going to activate it, and I was still on my F, click the X button, and instead, F then activated, like, confront the target instead, so I hit confront the target, and it instantly killed me, and they're like, all right, Bridger, where's the one for this zone? I'm like, gone.
F escape.
It's escaped. We have a breakout. Everyone to Markfly Fen. There's been an escape. So at that point, it was a little hectic. Everybody was jogging backwards around the trail for it. But
Bridger, you had one thing to
I had
do.
one job. I did it too well. I kept hitting F and hitting the button. All right, so anyway, where were we going with this? We're talking about smaller guilds. Smaller guilds even are going to have a harder time even doing the missions once they unlock them. So my question to you guys, ArenaNet, could they have made this system scale for smaller and larger guilds? Is that even possible?
Well, as a member of a small guild, I don't know how big your guys' guilds are. I know Bridger's, yours is pretty big, but ours is very small, as I said, and we kind of networked a bit and, jumped on the backs of some larger guilds on the Stormbluff Isle, server, what's the word, in order to do it. Because, and we had this discussion, as I said, that, there's like 15 of us that are actually active players that are part of our guild. I don't think we could have done it legitly. I mean, especially with the time limit, just a small group of people killing these, very difficult bosses. Some of them are more difficult than others. We had 60 people doing it as well. I just don't think it's even plausible to do it with the time limit. If you took the time limit away, maybe that takes off some of the pressure, but that would allow smaller guilds to do it because, you have unlimited time to find these people. Because if you don't have the resource of people to find the NPC, you're not going to find it in that time limit.
Yeah, one of the things that came up in this discussion was if you do create a scaling system, if you don't do it exactly right, you're going to encourage people to like kick people out of the guild that aren't active in order to like get to that magic number where it's easier. It turns out, oh, well, if you're at 68, then it's easier, but once you get to 70, that's when it kicks up to the next thing and you need more influence or whatever, and it just becomes a nightmare to try to balance that. I think ArenaNet said, screw it, we're just going to make this work really well for anybody from 20 and up. So if that's the case, what should be the number? What's a good guild size that you're saying, everybody from this up, we can scale it safely, and everything else, you're going to have a bigger guild?
Well, and they do kind of have the scaling concept just in the different tiers of the missions.
That's true.
You don't have to go for the tier 3 kills, find 7 of them and kill them all, or however many it is.
I think it's 6.
Okay, 6. But you can do tier 1. If you have 10 people in a guild, yeah, you're not going to be able to go tag all of them ahead of time. You have to do it in hard mode. You don't get the easy mode. But maybe you'll get lucky and you'll know 2 that you know where they are, and generally where they are. You can find them easily. So smaller guilds can do the easier ones. The larger guilds can do the higher tiers. And again, I understand the frustration from a smaller guild of not getting to play the new content and wanting to, but on the other hand,
well, it's okay. I'm here to tell you, the new content is a logistical nightmare and boring. You're not missing anything. No.
No, but even in Guild Wars 1, if you had a big guild with lots of money, you had a huge guild hall, you had all the merchants, you had it all decked out, and if you're in a small guild, you didn't get that, and that was just kind of the fact of life. If you go to a big college or big university, there will be things that are available to you that aren't available at a small university out in a small town. It's just some things, bigger things have more things available to them.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of a fact of life.
Is like life. Not all things are equal. Stop complaining.
It's kind of sad, but again,
in my homeland,
they did give you lower tier stuff, so you can go do it. You just can't go after the big uber hard things.
That's true. That's true. I hadn't actually thought of the tiers being like that for different size guilds, but that's a good point. Bullet, why even have this unlock system at all? Why not just allow people to do what they want to do? Why do you need to have a certain amount of influence? If they're going to try to limit it, why not put a timer? Why do they even have this whole thing? How does it benefit?
Well, the actual unlocking system, I can see some progression from level 1, level 2, level 3. But as far as the other different types of the guild missions, I think they should unlock those across the board, because whereas if you're going to do it with your small guild, the bounties may be extremely difficult with the small amount of people. But I don't know what these other things are going to be yet. So if it's more like a scavenger hunt, you could do that with 5 people. You know what I mean? You don't need 20, 30 people to do it, quickly and efficiently. And
au
contraire,
you can't get to the scavenger hunt until you do all these other things.
Exactly. So it's like I definitely see the frustration there. But as far as a small guild not being able to see that content, the cool thing about Guild Wars 2 is it lets you join multiple guilds, and it encourages you to, hey, yeah, you can still roll with your main guild, but join another guild as well, network a little bit. But unfortunately, that doesn't, when you do those guild missions with that other guild, it doesn't translate it to your smaller guild to be able to then unlock the other mission. It's a logistical nightmare, but yeah, in short, I think they should be able to unlock everything across the board, pick the missions you want to do, but as far as the difficulty tiers, make it so you have to unlock those, because give some progression.
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 I hate that word so much. Should never have been introduced to games. I don't know. I have an irrational progression phobia. I guess. I don't know. I hate it.
It's progressive thinking.
It is. No, that's not it. It's I enjoy player-based progression, not character-based progression. It always bugs me when people want more things made easier for them because they've played games longer. I want things to get harder when I've played them longer, damn it. I've got more skills now. I need to show how awesome they are. Anyway, that's just me. All right, any final comments on the guild missions here? We'll certainly come back and talk more about it in the future as we get to play the new types over the coming weeks as they unlock, which means Team Legacy, we got to get on that, guys. Every week we need 1, 2, and 3 all done. We need that influence popping it up. No more world versus world. We're focusing on this so that I can talk about it on the show. No, I don't think I can.
Great. I am all in favor of Team Legacy abandoning World v World, especially this week.
All right. So I think that just about does it. Any final comments about anything that we talked about today? Anything we missed?
I can't think of anything offhand. I think we discussed it pretty well.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that does it then. Thank you guys for joining us. That has been a great show. We actually nailed the time marker that I was looking for. I was looking at the notes like, this isn't a lot to talk about. And then it was. It's amazing how that works. You guys
we
are
can
great.
ramble.
Yes.
We're wordy.
That's
wordy.
why I got you guys. When I hire hosts on on Tales of Tyria, it's whichever one winds up talking to me for the longest. That's not true. It's just a joke. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
You're hired. No, I don't think so.
Hired. What?
You're hired. I was trying to do Donald Trump.
Oh.
I don't think it worked. You're hired.
I hear it now
fired.
that you mentioned Donald Trump. I hear it.
I have to. Well, you know, if I have to point it out, it probably wasn't a very good impression. All right, so
It's always so hard not to air guitar with the theme.
I know, it's so cool. Bjorn is the best. I don't know if he's still listening or not, but that is amazing. That was made by one of our listeners.
Oh, wow.
We have to try and top our 7 retakes for the next show. That was great.
I can't believe I usually do it in one.
That was so good.
Ridiculous. Every time I'm like, all right, good to go. Ah, I had the microphone unmuted. Damn it.
There was a lot of people in chat that were like, I like the first take. I like the second. They were calling out their favorites.
They were voting for which take should be used.
Yeah, I could throw that in the thing. Oh man, I pronounced Bjorn wrong. But I called it Bjorn last time, and they yelled at me. That's gotta be right. It's like a fjord, right? When you put 2 consonants next to each other in Scandinavia, it sounds like that. Sounds like your. I don't know.
It's just buh. The rest of it's silent.
Born? It's just
Buh.
Yes, that's what I said, Bjorn. O is like the letter I in bird. Beard? It's like beard? Beard. As in, like, the thing that Professor is sporting? Beard?
I heard some comedian who was talking about trying to learn Scandinavian languages and the 2 little dots over the word that means Americans can't say this.
Bjorn? Bjorn.
Beard?
Bjorn. It's actually... Well, is it the mass awareness of a piece of news of an ornithological variety? The chat room knows what I'm going with. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No. No. Because the birds are in the other room, so they wouldn't even get a kick out of it. All right. So I am going to actually jump into playing some League of Legends, I think, with the wife, because I promised her I'd play some later. because I was playing Batman all afternoon, and she's like, "But I'm in a series to get to the next division, and I don't want to play with idiots, but I'm playing with you anyway." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks,
Oh,
thanks."
nice. That's bonding right there.
It is. But I think I might try to jump into some Worldview World later. Either way, I'm going to stream it on Bridger15, so if anybody wants to jump over there, twitch.tv/Bridger15, and subscribe to it so that you can find out, too, when I am playing Batman and watch me be the Dark Knight. Bridger and the Bat.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm going to be moving a second character over to an American server. Maybe Kanan, maybe Blackgate, but I'm
Second
thinking
character?
Kanan or
Can you-
K-Town, mostly
You
because
can't
it's called
move one
K-Town.
character.
You're talking about moving
Oh
an
no, I'm
account?
going to move a second account.
Oh, an account. Oh.
The tarnished coast.
Oh, too many role players. Freaks me out.
Yeah, but they're
Immersion.
nice.
It's immersion. They said immersion.
That's
It's okay
that's the
because
thing
they
about
said
them.
immersion.
Role players generally aren't asshats, so
That's true.
there's
then-
a benefit to that.
Oh, you have to be asshats in World v. World.
You want that. They're like, "Oh, it's okay, chap. You can take the keep. I was just holding it for you anyway." I didn't
we've
know
actually
role players
discussed-
were from Canada.
We've had debates about how to entice role players into World v World.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
and
that-
we can't come up with any ideas.
Well, when you're playing like PlanetSide or Battlefield, I find more people role playing essentially like in army speak than you find most people role playing in fantasy games. Because when you go into a PlanetSide outfit and you actually hear, "I need clear comms, I need silence here, you got a demotion, so and so, Sergeant Private," and you're like, "Holy crap, these guys are really playing it up." And then you go over there and the same people are like, "I don't want to role play, that's for dweebs." Like, what are you talking about? You just did it, you idiot. You just like being an army sergeant instead of an elf warrior mage dude, girl, thing with stuff. Yes.
Yep, I usually play when I play my Guardian. I usually, just put on full plate armor when I sit at my PC. So
Just to get the right effect. Because
yeah, you gotta get your head right. You know what I mean? You gotta get in the game.
yeah,
So
right.
You
Because
have the
how,
helmet with the big horns too.
of course. Yeah.
for slaying
Dovahkiin
dragons.
style. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Because I too, when I'm playing Misfortune, I put on my slutty dress so that I can shoot better.
Didn't need the visual.
Well, I've gone and done it. Not going to talk about Mundo. So
That should
let's.
pretty much end the show now.
Yep, we're gonna end the show. I'm going over to Bridger15, gonna stream some League and then some World v World. It's gonna be good nights. See you guys there. Twitch.tv/Bridger15. Feedback at talesoftyria.com. I'm Bridger. These were them. They were awesome. Good game.